my name is Will, and I'm here with my cubes and my Bible, and I'm going to tell you a story today. This morning I went for a drive. I went west of Okotoks here in Alberta, Canada, where I live, and I drove past the Big Rock. Here, that's a big glacial erratic, which is a big fancy word for a piece of rock that fell off of a glacier a long time ago. And it was an important place for the local Blackfoot people who lived here before us. And they would gather there and they would use it as a benchmark when they were traveling. This is a story about a big rock, but it was in the city of Athens in what we now call Greece. And Paul, one of the characters from the Bible, was visiting Athens, and he was walking around the city, and everywhere he looked, he found statues. And afterwards, when he spoke to the crowd, he explained to them that he had seen these statues and he had observed that they were very religious people. And it wasn't clear if when Paul said that he meant it as a good thing or a bad thing. We know earlier he was bothered. It says he was distressed about the statues. But it was because of the statues that he told them that they were being religious, because their statues were a part of their worship. They worshipped the statues because the statues were symbols of the gods who they worshipped. But the statues also helped the people remember the things they needed to do to get their life right. Can you see what the statue is going to be? You see, they would use the statues to help them remember if they wanted to have good crops, then they would need to make a sacrifice to the god of the harvest. If they wanted to have good luck in a trip over the water, they needed to give a donation to the god of the seas. The statues reminded them of what they needed to do. And if you were going to go to war, you needed to make a donation to the god of war, which the Roman god was Mars. They're on Mars Hill in Athens. The Greek god was Ares, and they were on Areopagus, right? So this was exactly the right place to be for them to be talking about the gods, the god of war especially. So when Paul was talking about how religious the people were, this is what he was talking about. He was talking about the statues that he had seen, and the priests and priestesses, and all of the temples that he saw. And he knew that the people were keeping these things going by making donations every time they wanted to do something. But he wanted to tell them, and he preached to them, that the statues that they were looking at and worshiping were just made with their own hands. Instead, Paul wanted to talk to them about a God who had created each person there and each person now with his own hands. We get caught up in religious stuff too. It might not be in statues, but we behave religiously. We give worship sometimes to celebrities. We make routines about places that we go and things that we buy. We behave religiously too. Paul would have words for us in that regard as well. But I want to challenge you. I want to remind you that even though we behave religiously, even though we go to a religious space and we gather with other religious people, sometimes when we're allowed, we don't put our hope in the things that we have made. Those things and those religious practices that we do, they're only good if they point us toward God. So I hope that you are able to do that too. Paul is pointing us towards God. We are turning towards God, and God is turning towards us. Thanks for checking in.